ago, pro stock driver Jerry Ekman came to the Winter Nationals in Pomona, California with experience at winning the season opener. He cut through a field with names like Warren Johnson, Bob Glidden, and Larry Morgan to take his second win on the Pomona asphalt. Cinderella story only begins to describe the 92 debut of funny car rookie Jim Epler. With help from former Don Prudhomme crew chief Mike Glover, Epler flat out ran defending Winston champion John Force in Force's own backyard. Truly one of drag racing's great moments. Top Fuel ace Kenny Bernstein won 6 national events in 1991, wrenched by longtime crew chief Dale Armstrong. Kenny may just be 1992's man to beat, judging by his cat-like reflexes and 4-second runs at Pomona. All of that culminated in a victory over Jim Head. All 3 men came to Firebird International Raceway in Phoenix, Arizona in hopes of repeat performances. TNN Motorsports proudly presents this special presentation of American Sports Cavalcade. Live coverage of the final round professional competition from the NHRA Motorcraft Ford Nationals. Hello everyone, I'm Steve Evans. On a dusty, blustery day in the Phoenix desert, we're making a little bit of history. This is the first time final round competition of the pros from the National Hot Rod Association has ever been seen on national television, and we're proud to have it on TNN. We'll have all 3 professional categories: Pro Stock, Top Fuel, and Funny Car. First, let me set the Pro Stock combatants for you. They are, in the final round, Jerry Ekman up against Don Beverly. Now, in round number 1, Ekman defeated Kenny Delco. Actually, Delco red light, a little bit afraid of Jerry Ekman. He then beat Frank Iaconio. Iaconio also red lighted. Then he had to outrun Warren Johnson, who almost lost control. Now, as far as Don Beverly is concerned, that's an Oldsmobile car. In round number 1, he just barely beat chassis builder Jerry Haas in a very good race. Round 2, it was a whole shot on Larry Morgan. That was one tough competitor. And in round number 3, he beat Jim Yates, who was runner-up at the Winter Nationals. So both of these guys have truly earned their way into the Pro Stock final round. Now, for Top Fuel, let's go to Brock Yates, and he'll tell us how they got to the final round. And believe me, it was a tussle. Brocker?
I'll tell you what, Steve, this late in the afternoon at a drag race, it could be called, this pit area could be called the Boulevard of Broken Dreams, especially among the Top Fuel guys. We've had some big name casualties. Kenny Bernstein, Joe Amato, Ed McCulloch, Don Prudhomme. They're all gone, and we've got 2 young lions in the Top Fuel finals, Pat Austin and Doug Herbert. Pat Austin got by Kenny Bernstein, then he got by Jim Head, and then he got by Michael Brotherton, who ran a 4.99. Jim Head survived throwing a tire in round number 1, came back, made a gallant try, couldn't make it work. Doug Herbert put away Joe Amato, who smoked his tires, then got by the veteran Gene Snow. So these 2 young men, very difficult to call a winner. I can't tell you a thing. It's going to be a great drag race. Same for funny cars. And for more on that, let's go to my pal, Big Daddy Don Garlitz.
Well, Brock, the funny car race is shaping up to be a good one. It's going to be the old pro, Tom Hoover, with lane choice against a young challenger, Richard Hartman. Now, let me tell you how these 2 gentlemen got to this final. Tom Hoover upset John Force with a fine 532. Then he disposed of Johnny West with a 534. Earlier, he had a 526 for low ET of the entire day. Richard Hartman, on the other hand, has not run all that well. He only mustered a 563 against Bazemore and then a 585 against a tire-smoking Densham. So you would think, what chance has he got against the old pro Hoover? Well, I'll tell you what chance he's got. There has been more things happen to these pros out here today than you could shake a stick at, and I wouldn't bet 5 cents on either one of them. It's an even-up race in my book. Okay, Steve.
Thank you, Brock. Thank you, Don. The fans are on their feet. As you can tell, our guys are plenty excited, yours truly included. Pro Stock will be up first when we return to the Motorcraft Ford Nationals here in Phoenix, Arizona.
This special presentation of American Sports Cavalcade is being brought to you by Valvoline. People who know use Valvoline. And by Ford Motorcraft. Get the peace of mind of doing it right with the right part. Motorcraft quality parts.
Well, there you see the yellow Pontiac of Jerry Ekman. He's strapped in that car and getting psyched up to meet the Oldsmobile of Don Beverly. The Pro Stock final round coming up here on TNN when we return. Stay with us. It's going to be a beauty. Welcome back, everyone, to the Motorcraft Ford Nationals in Phoenix, Arizona. This record crowd, well, they are on their feet in anticipation of the Pro Stock final round. There you see the white Oldsmobile of Don Beverly. He will be up against low qualifier national record holder, the man who won the Winter Nationals 3 weeks ago, Jerry Ekman. Earlier, I had a chance to talk to both drivers as to how they saw this all-important race. Here's what they said. What's going through your mind as you get ready to race your opponent?
Not a lot. I know they're down there changing engines, and I'm just not going to worry about what they're doing. I got to worry about what we're doing. We're getting our car prepared, and it's been working good all day, and that's all I'm going to go in with, that thought in my mind that my car is prepared well.
You know it, I know it. You're a definite underdog. What do you do against Jerry Ekman?
Well, I tell you what, we're trying to add a little more horsepower here right now. Jerry's got a little bit of advantage on us, and these guys are working, putting us in a little more power, and try to do my job and try to win us a race. That's all we're going to do.
All right, that is the automobile of Don Beverly, Steve, and that is a team car of Warren Johnson, and there's revenge in their hearts because this man, Jerry Ekman, blew away the boss, Warren Johnson, in the semifinals. So Jerry Ekman comes in here, as you said earlier, holding the national record at 7:17 ET. He ran a 7:20 for low qualifier. Don Beverly, very much an underdog to this man as Jerry Ekman completes his burnout here. There goes Don Beverly. Let's go to Big Dan and Don Garlis for some final thoughts before this race starts.
Well, I can tell you something, Brock. Don Beverly is taking no chances. They have borrowed Warren Johnson's engine. The entire Warren Johnson crew is up here with eyes on the strip. It's going to be a good one.
Absolutely, as I said, that white 92 Oldsmobile Cutlass out of the Warren Johnson stable. They're looking for revenge against the 91 Trans Am of Jerry Ekman, who's on a roll, right, Steve Evans? He's looking for a win number 2 right in a row.
Absolutely, Brock. For people who may not be all that familiar with the Pro Stock automobiles, it's the closest thing to a street car you'll find in the professional categories. They're 2,350 pounds, 4- and 5-speed transmissions. They run on pumped gasoline, big 500 cubic inch engines. All in all, they're maybe the toughest car in all of drag racing to drive with their short wheelbases. Ekman in the near lane, he's a big favorite. But Big Daddy mentioned the new motor, the Warren Johnson engine in the Beverly car. That could be the equalizer. Let's watch and see as they bump into the staging lights. You'll see a flash of yellow, then the green, and the race is on. The man who leads the starting line first, well, that's called a hole shot, and they'll both be looking for it. The RPMs come up. Watch the noses of those cars. See if you can tell. It looked like a brilliant start to me. Beverly out in front until he loses a bit of traction. Ekman surges forward. Jerry Ekman has won here in Arizona at a 7:26. Bill Orndorff, the car owner and the crew, celebrating a magnificent win. Brock?
Terrific race. I'll tell you what. Let's have another look at this. Ekman just squeezed the light. Reaction time almost equal, a 4:38 to a 4:89. But I'll tell you what, Don Beverly was in this race all the way until just about half track. There you see it. In fact, he almost had a little bit of a lead there. He starts to get sideways, corrects a little bit, but the car is still loose. And there is where he lost the race to Jerry Ekman. So Jerry Ekman goes on to his second consecutive victory. Let's go to Big Daddy Don Garlis.
I'm on the line here with Bill Orndorff, and he is one happy camper. 7:26. You kept that thing running good all day long, Bill.
I tell you, I'm pretty proud. I'm proud of Jerry. I'm proud of my team, and I'm just tickled pink. I've got my sister and my niece here from California, and it's just pretty special.
Well, that's 2 in a row.
Yep, and we're planning on some more. Thank you very much, Don.
Thank you.
Bye now.
Brock?
I'll tell you what, the way that thing's running right now, Big Daddy, he's going to get some more. Let's go to Steve with the winner.
Jerry Ekman, tell us about that race. I think you saw that white car.
Yeah, I saw that white car all the way through low gear. He was out on me, and these guys have been taking shots at me, and, you know, that's what happens when you're running well, and I knew one of them was bound to get lucky, and he got out on me pretty good, but this Pennzoil Pontiac with Stratford Motor Products helping out really put it on in the middle of the track, and I'm so thrilled to be here at the finish line as a winner.
2 wins in a row and a big lead in the Winston points.
Yeah, that's great, and I got to give credit to my crew.
Okay, let's go back up to Brock Yates.
Oh, Steve, we got a great start to an afternoon of racing here at Firebird International Raceway. We'll be back for more NHRA Motorcraft Ford Nationals with Top Fuel. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Phoenix, Arizona, the Motorcraft Ford Nationals. You may have noticed Don Beverly getting a little loose in that 4 lane. Well, this track has been tricky. You never know which lane is the better. Don Garlitz, how do you see the track conditions right now?
Well, Steve, I think the track was real good. I think what happened was that Warren Johnson engine that they put in Don Beverly's car had just a little bit too much mid-range for the way his chassis was set up, and it looked like he just couldn't handle it down through the middle of the track.
All right, Top Fuel will be coming up next. In fact, you see them coming into the lanes right now. The car you're looking at, that is Pat Austin, Tacoma, Washington. Let's remember, he had a tremendous rookie season last year, winning in Topeka, winning the Winston finals. He's one tough kid. There you see Pat pacing around. He has already won the alcohol funny car title just moments ago before we went on the air. And you talk about a story. Here is young Doug Herbert, a former Californian, now in North Carolina. He unofficially became the quickest driver in the world at Pomona 3 weeks ago at 4.88 seconds. Some said, that's just a flash in the pan. Not so. You see Herbert coming in here for the final round. And earlier, I had a chance to talk to both of these keyed-up drivers. Here's what they had to say. Doug, you're in tough, buddy. Pat Austin is plenty mean. How are you going to handle this race? What are you going to have to do?
Well, I don't know what to say. We got a quicker car than he does, but he seems to be a little bit more consistent, so we're going to have to get after it a little bit. I think we can do it.
Doug Herbert has a fast car. He's proven that. How do you approach this race with a first-time finalist like him?
You approach it just like that. He has a fast car, and he's a good driver, and Doug's been on a hot streak. If you watch his car's Pomona, he's right there, and his car is really running good. They slowed down a little bit that time, but we ain't even looking at that. We're looking past that, and he's going to run a 4-second run, and that's exactly how we're going to approach it.
Well, I don't have to tell you about Pat Austin's racing record. Comes from a great racing family. Has already won 5 Top Fuel races, and he only started at the end of last season in 1981. He bought the team from the late Gary Ormsby, won 2 races. He holds 44 career victories in Top Alcohol Funny Car, and already has a couple of victories in Top Fuel. So the kid is just unbelievable at 28 years old. Steve Evans, I think he may be on to something here in this drag racing career. I'll tell you, who's to know how many races he can win if he stays with it?
Oh, absolutely. He's also the official national record holder. His opponent on the other side, Doug Herbert, well, he may be the new wonderkind in Top Fuel. We told you about how well he ran in Pomona. He's a big, good-looking kid. Every girl I run into wants to know if Doug Herbert is married. I'm not sure if he is or not. You see the crew strapping him down, that 5-point harness. He can't get it tight enough. In case of an upset, well, that roll cage and that harness, they're your very best friends. Herbert has been through so many engine explosions, so much grief with this car, I don't think anything scares him. Behind him, you see, in the Herbert shirt, that is Jim Brissett, one of the true veterans of Top Fuel racing. Nobody knows more about these engines and these racetracks than that man right there, Jim Brissett.
Well, of course, Doug also comes from a great drag racing family. His dad, Chet Herbert, is a great camshaft designer, and I'm sure Big Daddy has been around the Herbert family for a long, long time. Don?
Well, I'll tell you, these 2 drivers are definitely cool. I talked to each one of them just a few minutes ago. I couldn't believe they're both as cool as a glass of iced tea. They are up to this race.
Okay, let's go to Steve Evans.
Well, the one big advantage I see here does not lie with that long red car. It lies with Pat Austin. His reaction times are simply unbelievable. That's how he won the alcohol division today. That's how he's won so many races in this car. He is cat-like quick. That Top Gun in his helmet, that's what that means, reaction time.
Well, you certainly can't fault him for experience. As I say, that's his dad, Walt Austin, who has built the engines for this car. And Chet Herbert, he owns that automobile. As you said earlier, Jim Brissett may be the key to making that car go so well. He had a whole bunch of problems last year, his first year in Top Fuel competition, as is Pat. So both these guys are sophomores in Top Fuel competition, Steve.
Interesting, Brock. They're both in the lane that they like. Pat Austin had the lane choice over Herbert. Austin has selected the lane you see him in right now, the near lane, all day long. Herbert has liked that 4 lane all day long, so nobody's unhappy with this.
So the burnouts are complete. Let's go down to Big Daddy for some final thoughts.
Well, both of the drivers, Brock, executed perfect burnouts, just the kind they've been making all day long. No funny deals. Both of them are in the lane they like. As Steve said earlier, I just couldn't see of a better day. The air is really nice on the starting line. These engines are making some horsepower. Brock?
One more question, Big Daddy. We're going to see a run into fours between one of these guys?
Yes, sir. I believe we will see a 4-second run here this evening.
Okay, that's it, Steve. In the near lane, you're seeing Pat Austin. In the far lane, that is Doug Herbert. Let's go to Steve Evans for the race call.
How much horsepower are you looking at? Well, about 5,000 apiece, 10,000 collective horsepower. When they put the hammer down on these automobiles, those people on the starting line will actually feel the ground quake. Here, and there is Jim Brissett's wife. This is a ritual with her, with all the teams I've been with all over the years. She wears that big crucifix, gets down on one knee, and hey, you know, do all you can do. Sometimes it takes that sort of tradition to win these drag races. Doug Herbert, he knows that Pat Austin is a leader. Doug Herbert will be sharper here right now than maybe he's ever been. Probably better be. Herbert moves up, puts a little pressure on Austin. Lights that free-stage beam on the Christmas tree. You see the yellow lights, Herbert? That tells Austin he's ready to race. Austin moves in, doesn't hold him up at all. Who will break first? It is going to be Austin moving in, allowing Herbert to stage last. Still not quite in. Now they're set. Oh, and it is Pat Austin all the way as Doug Herbert breaks right off of the starting line. A 5.06 elapsed time. You can hear the crowd cheering the young team from Tacoma, Washington. Austin is your champion. Doug Herbert, well, a real tragedy for him right off of the starting line. Brock?
A really tough break. We were expecting a great drag race, but what so often happens, we have a little mechanical problem here, and it is Pat Austin. It's a great launch. He'll run a 5.06. Excellent reaction time, a 4.35. There you see in the far lane that Doug Herbert breaks, and Pat Austin on his way to his second victory of the day. Let's go to Big Daddy Don Garlitz.
Well, Walt Austin, I take my hat off to you. You didn't hop it up. You didn't do anything funny. You just made your nice, normal run, and that's what it took.
Well, Don, you know that probably better than any of us, and sometimes you've got to control yourself and look at what it's really going to take to win the race. And I'm really proud of my crew. I mean, Dana and Mike and Dickie and Brad and all the guys, they're really professionals, and it's showing.
Well, you did a nice job.
Okay, Big Daddy, and now let's go to Steve Evans with the winner.
Yeah, two-time winner today. First alcohol funny car, and now the pro category of Top Fuel. I thought maybe you had a 4-second run in it. Not quite.
Well, not quite, but you just got to do what it takes to win, and that's what we did. I'm sure the guys would have liked it to run a little better, but obviously they planned to run a 5.06, and that's what it did. So as long as you get there first, and with the help of the sponsors, Castro, Oldsmobile, Red Wing Shoes, and Dynomax, we're going to the top, baby.
You probably read this track better than anybody today. You always knew which was the best lane, and you selected it throughout the competition.
I think that comes with the experience of the guys. You know, my dad and the guys work together, and they've been working together real well, and I think it's shown our performance. And being a new team, I think it's very important to go out and do good earlier. Things can fall apart, and we're doing good so far.
Thanks a lot.
Hey, thank you.
So Kenny Bernstein won round 1 in Pomona. Now Pat Austin knocks him out in round 2. Brock?
Okay, Steve, we've got more racing coming up. That is Rhonda Hartman, the sister of Richard Hartman, who will be competing in the funny car finals coming up against Tom Hoover. We'll be right back. Tom Hoover already in his race car. So stick around. Don't touch those remotes. We know where you live.
Here at the Motorcraft Ford Nationals in Phoenix, Arizona, it is pure bedlam at the far end. The celebration has begun and probably will go deep into the night as Pat Austin has won Top Fuel. Brock Yates?
Well, Steve, let's go. We got one more race, and that is young Richard Hartman out of Corona, California. A 91 Corvette-bodied funny car, and I'll tell you what, this has been a hard roll for Richard, and as Big Daddy said earlier, he's struggled to get into the finals here and had a tough season in 91. That is Tom Hoover, 51 years young, his dad, 81 years old. These guys are ready to go. Steve Evans?
They sure are. Tom Hoover and Richard Hartman. As you said, Hoover has ruled the day. Hartman is really, and he knows it, darn lucky to be here. Earlier, I had a chance to talk to both of these drivers. Let's see what they had to say. Richard, what's the plan here? You're in top and you know it.
Yeah, we're in top. I'm not sure what he ran, but we had a mismatched set of heads on because we're afraid to hurt the engine, and we're throwing another head on, so the engine will be evened out, and we should be back to our 543 in first round deal.
Hoove, this one can be yours if you don't screw up.
That's the name of the game, Steve. Today so far, things are going our way, and if we don't beat ourselves or make a big bad mistake, I think we can do it.
Okay, going to be interesting. The engines, these monster 500 cubic inch nitro burning engines are fired up. That is Hartman's car, the body coming down on that automobile. Soon enough, we're going to see a monster race. Here comes Hartman. Let's go to Steve Evans for the race call.
The engines in these cars, as you well know, Brock, are almost identical to the Top Fuel races. The difference is they're in front of the drivers. That can make fire a bit of a hazard, but NHRA safety rules are so good now as far as the way these bodies are constructed that drivers aren't concerned about that much anymore. A very light burnout by Hartman. I don't think that was intentional. Maybe he didn't have enough engine temperature to build the horsepower, but you really would like to put down some hot rubber on that racetrack, and Hartman did not really do that. Tom Hoover, a good, strong burnout. You can always expect that from the Showtime team. Hoover, number 8 in the world last year, and boy, has he got a shot to move up in 1992. Rhonda Hartman, Richard's sister, she is also a licensed NHRA drag racer in competition eliminator and in alcohol funny cars, and her dream is to someday sit in one of these cars.
Okay, so
a second burnout for Richard Hartman. He knew he did not have those tires hot enough and sticky enough. Now, he cannot inconvenience Tom Hoover. Don Garlitz?
That is absolutely right, Brock. Hartman was not happy with that burnout. He came back real fast, back to the bleach box to get another shot at that burnout. In fact, he came back so fast that the crew had to wipe up some of the fuel out of the overflow tank. This could be a little bit of a disadvantage and an advantage for Tom Hoover, who is sitting on the line very cool. Brock?
Very rare to see a couple of burnouts, Steve Evans, but right now, Tom Hoover sitting pretty.
And I would tell you, good sportsmanship on part of Hartman. He in no way held up Tom Hoover. The more heat you have in these engines, the more power they make. I already said that. Sometimes you can make too much power. Tom Hoover is ready to race. He knows that engine is up to temperature. He doesn't want any more. He puts on the pre-stage light. Hartman better hurry or starter bust. Oh, there he is. He's pre-staged as well. We're going to have a funny car final in a matter of moments. It's a good race. Hartman out of control over the center line. That automatically disqualifies him. Tom Hoover has won in the desert, 5:27. His father, George, the octogenarian, 86 years of age, absolutely thrilled. Brock Yates?
Oh, Steve, happy bunch from Minnesota. Let's take another look here. Very good reaction time. Actually, Hoover a little bit better, a 5:21 against a 5:31, but it's a drag race all the way until Hoover goes by a Hartman who gets looser. Hartman keeps it off the wall, which is a good job. Crosses the center line. He's out of the race. Hoover on to victory. Let's go to Big Daddy.
Well, I'm here on the starting line with George Hoover, and I'll tell you what, that son of yours really did a job. 5:27. He's won another one for you, George.
Don't say that, son of ours, because it takes a whole crew to win one of these things. Right?
But he did his job right every time today, George.
And this would be a glorious day for me if my wife was here.
Congratulations. Brock?
Okay,
Steve?
so a happy group. Let's go to Steve Evans with a winner.
There'll be a lot of emotion down here, I'm sure, with Tom Hoover. The car running in the 5:20s on the final. A magnificent job all day long. You never faulted. You never took a misstep.
I tell you, my dad, the crew, we did change motors after the second run, and to have another one come back and run as good. And I want to say hi to the kids and everybody back in Minnesota on this live TV. And Scotch, colored people, 3M, we did it.
And there may be some more for you down the road. This prize money comes in handy to a team like yours. You're not overfunded.
No, we're not, and we're had a little bad luck at Pomona here. We hurt a car, and to come back now and win this one, and in modern times, as Brooks said, here we go.
Okay, let's go back to Brock.
Well, Steve, a great show. I'll tell you what, that is Tom Hoover's first win since 1979. He's been waiting for one a long time, and there'll be some celebration up in Minnesota guaranteed tonight. So, Tom Hoover. Let's go to Steve Evans.
Well, you know, here today we were only able to show you the final rounds of the professional categories, but don't forget, on TNN American Sports Cavalcade, coming up will be a 90-minute pro show, a 90-minute sportsman show. For all of us here, at Phoenix International Raceway. Brock Yates, Don Garlick, Steve Evans, thanks for joining us.
This special presentation of American Sports Cavalcade has been brought to you by Valvoline. People who know use Valvoline. And by Ford Motorcraft. Get the peace of mind of doing it right with the right parts. Motorcraft quality parts. Coverage of the 1992 Motorcraft Ford Nationals has been a production of Diamond B Sports and a presentation of the Nashville Network.